Well, there is no area that has been untouched by the impact of Donald Trump in the United States and elsewhere. And 1 year on, we're joined by Eve Jackson, our culture editor, to talk about the relationship Trump has with culture and the arts. It's quite a complex, confrontational sort of a relationship, isn't it?
It certainly is. Donald Trump himself comes, of course, from the world of entertainment. He built his public image on that TV reality show, The Apprentice, of course. But since the beginning of his second term, he has demonstrated a desire once again to regain control over the American cultural narrative. Last January, you might remember, he appointed Mel Gibson, Sylvester Stallone and Jon Voight as ambassadors to Hollywood, which their tasks were to be his eyes and ears in the industry. They're big supporters of him, of course. Another major battleground for him has been diversity, equity and inclusion policies. And within just a few weeks, when his presidential reign began, the National Gallery of Art ended all of its diversity programs. The Smithsonian Institution, which oversees dozens of libraries and museums in Washington, D.C., shut down a section dedicated to inclusion. And in March last year, an executive order was actually adopted to, in Donald Trump's words, restore truth and reason in American history. But the latest and most striking symbol of this cultural takeover, if you like, is the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump has declared himself its president. He's even renamed it as the Trump Kennedy Center. He's also directed programming away from what he labels as woke culture, specifically LGBTQ plus and drag performances. So in France, this would be a little bit like President Macron saying that he was in charge of the Louvre or the opera, for example.
And how are artists reacting to all this?
Well, you can imagine some have spoken out, but the pressure from the Trump administration has been very intense. Think back to September, we saw the suspension of late-night host Jimmy Kimmel. That followed his on-air criticism of the president. He was reinstated, of course, after strong public and cultural mobilisation. Shortly afterwards, something like 400 artists signed a letter, including Natalie Portman, Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks. That was to defend freedom of expression. This weekend, at a charity concert in New Jersey, Bruce Springsteen, who has been a long-time opponent of Donald Trump, speaking out against him, and dedicated a song to Renee Nicole Good, who was, of course, shot by US immigration police a few weeks ago, ICE. He called for a collective awakening in the face of methods that he described as worthy of the Gestapo.
So that's a kind of backdrop to the arts, the culture world in the US at the moment. And we here on France 24 are about to air a new series on Arts 24 looking at Nashville and country music. Why have you decided to do that now?
Well, first of all, because country music is booming, but it's also deeply political. In 2025 alone, the genre surpassed something like 120 billion streams in the US. And one of the most listened to artists in the United States is someone called Morgan Wallen, who's a country star. He comes just after Taylor Swift and Drake. But as well as that, country music has really become a sort of mirror, if you like, to a divided America. We went to Nashville, the world capital of country music, and we met artists right across the political spectrum. Some are conservative, defending traditional values they associate with what they call the real America, if you like. During the election campaign, of course, you might remember, and for his inauguration a year ago, Trump invited big country stars to perform at that. Carrie Underwood, for example, Lee Greenwood, and Billy Ray Cyrus. And many country artists have spoken out about their support for Donald Trump. Some of them we met in Nashville when we were there. Here's a snippet of our show. Take a look.
What draws President Trump to country music? I think he's a pretty honest guy. Like he always says exactly what he thinks. And I think he chooses songs that do that as well. And I love that. I love that about him. God bless the USA. God bless President Trump.
On Instagram, after the death of prominent and polarising conservative activist Charlie Kirk, shot dead last September, Julie posted about continuing his mission.
When I saw Charlie Kirk's memorial service, it was very moving to me. Honestly, I didn't know who he was until all these people came together. The mission of his that I want to carry is the love of Jesus Christ. Sometimes you offend people, but he just kept going, and that's what I try to do. And there was a lot of mean comments on my page after I posted it. I couldn't take it down.
So that's the conservative side. On the other side, the progressive side, artists are challenging the country music genre from within. They're pushing for inclusion, they're pushing for diversity, and often facing a backlash from country music's more traditional base. We met a queer country singer who's called Adam Mack, and he actually found himself caught in the middle of a backlash, thrust into the culture wars.
The thing about being on the outside is you might not know you're there until you try to find a seat at the table, but the table ain't ever had a seat to spare. I was supposed to play a show in my hometown of Russellville. There was a pastor that was causing an uproar, and people on the board had questions about if I were going to be promoting homosexuality, quote. So I decided to back out of the show.
A few months later, Adam performed to a sold-out crowd in Russellville. Tickets gone in hours. A powerful reminder of America's contradictions. The same town that questioned him came out to celebrate him.
Country music is a clear representation of where America is right now. It does feel really divided. There's always gonna be people on the far ends of the spectrum that are really loud and really don't want to come together. But for me and for my art, I know that there is a bridge for both sides.
So there you go. What everyone agreed on is this: country music is experiencing a renaissance, but it is at a crossroads. Who gets airplay, whose stories are told, and who gets to define American identity? You can find out more in our two-part series, which airs yesterday and today. And you can watch those episodes also on our website, france24.com.